You abandoned me, that's what. Left me in this shadow prison for more than a decade, knowing what it would do to me.
I'm sorry, Gio. It's all my fault. See, I didn't mean to abandon my Giovanna, but due to stuff happening in my personal life and just where I've been mentally as of late, I haven't been practicing fighting games as much as I usually would, and as much as I'd like to be, honestly. And to be completely honest with you, I haven't really played Giovanna since, like, patch 1.10. And quite a lot changed for her in that patch. But I've got the urge to play my girl Gio again, and I think it's finally time I save her from the realm of darkness. Only problem is, a lot has changed since I last played the game, and for Giovanna specifically, the changes made to her dash are incredibly impactful, and as such, that's primarily what I want to focus on improving. As previously, Giovanna would have to wait a set amount of frames before being able to act out of her dash, and that momentum would carry her a set distance. But now, she can cancel out of her dash almost immediately, and can alter the distance that that momentum carries her, depending on when she presses a button. In fact, if you delay your button press after inputting dash for anything more than 5 frames, you will get a unique dash distance every frame up until about 16 frames. As beyond that, Giovanna will no longer carry the momentum of that dash. And as you can imagine, this really beefs up her already pretty strong ground game. But given the wide range of potential distances, I wasn't sure how to be consistent in getting the exact range that I want in a given situation or scenario. So to remedy that, I decided to just focus on 3 general ranges: a short range, a mid-range, and a long range. And to help me do that, I enlisted the help of a very powerful tool called Eddienput, made by the lovely guys in the Chemical Lovers team, who also run the Novril Tataki YouTube channel, who have been pumping out high-quality educational fighting game content for years. And what Eddienput does is it basically takes a script that you write in a text file describing an action that you want to take place, and it plays that back in-game as if it were another person. And it will allow me to see what frame-perfect dashes look like. Although in using it this way, I am heavily underutilizing this powerful tool, and this isn't an Eddienput tutorial, but that said, let's build a dashbot. So Eddienput, which works with all PC fighting games, is actually set up to work with whatever notation your game uses. So what that's going to look like for our dashbot, and Strive specifically, is dash W5 K. And all that means is dash macro, or alternatively 656, or forward neutral forward, wait for 5 frames, and on the 7th frame, press the kick button. Incredibly simple. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the mid and long range, and then I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to go in and add a plus beep to each button press in this script, so that when I run the script, it'll sound like this. That way, I'll not only get a sense of what those dashes look like visually in terms of distance, but also get a sense of the rhythm required to execute them accurately. So after tacking on a couple beeps to the rest of those lines of code, we are done with our dashbot.
Engines are online.
And let's see how she does. So first up, of course, is our shortest range, which puts us about here, post 5K. Then we have our mid-range, and our long range.
Computer system override engaged.
And so after watching and listening to that for a few times, I desynced our dashbot from the player 2 slot and just ran the script for the audio and attempted to practice it myself a few times. So honestly, I tend to get a bit obsessed with getting things as consistent as humanly possible, or attempting to, before ever trying them in a match, which can be counterproductive at a certain point. So once I could get relatively close to the range I was shooting for, semi-consistently, I cut my lap time and hopped into some matches. And of course, wouldn't you know it, old muscle memory got in the way almost immediately, and as a result, a lot of times in neutral, which was the most obvious application of this tool, I ended up missing a lot of whiff punishes, as I wouldn't wait long enough between my dash and my button input. But as I played more matches and got more confident, and took care not to focus too much on the outcome of the match, I gradually became more and more consistent with the ranges I was aiming for. So towards the end of one match versus a melee player, I blocked a hair car, as I've done many times before, and I went for my customary 5H punish, but it whiffed. Now I did have to FD this hair car as my health was pretty low, but still I've never experienced it whiffing like this before. So now I keep in the back of my mind versus melee players at this spacing, if I have to FD a hair car, it's probably safe to do a short range dash 5H punish instead. And from there I started thinking, well, where else can I apply this tool?
Automated defense grid online.
For example, in the Baiken matchup, after blocking her H Kabari, you can do a quick dash block followed by a delayed button press to kind of challenge her after that. And depending on when you press a button, you can block certain follow-ups and punish others. And this is also a very safe way to fish for just blocks or instant blocks on her immediate Kabari follow-up, which is super useful because that follow-up is throw punishable if instant blocked. And dash blocking here really cracks open the RPS that usually follows blocking H Kabari. Implementing this in my matches was a little rough at first, but I'm glad that I put forth the effort to do so, as my layer 1 defense against H Kabari previously, which was just a backdash, was pretty bad. So shout out to the Gio Discord, as without them I may not have considered using dash block here. And keeping in line with that punish aspect of defense, I used to punish Kai's Fruiter arc if I was close enough with jab 5k 214k, or if I was too far away, jab 214k, or even just settle for a jab at certain ranges. But now, with Gio's current dash, I can always dash in with the shortest range dash 5k, and perhaps even convert that into a full airstream. And it being in a similar vein, I can do the same thing to Ram's 214k. When it came to doing this on reaction in a match, I did panic a little and ended up going for less than optimal punishes, but still I'm very happy that I was able to implement this into my Kai game plan. But speaking of optimal combos, let's talk a little about offense and pressure.
Weapons online.
As of course, Gio's dash changes have significant application in her combos. As depending on the starter and screen position, sometimes you need to delay your button press after the dash for the most amount of frames possible in order to pick up the combo. And while my Gio may be counted among the sauceless, even with my bare bones combo game, I'm really enjoying her new strings. It also allows you to squeeze a little bit more out of even her most basic B&B. And with a lot of the nuances that come along with being able to cancel out of her dash so early, a lot of pressure strings on block that weren't possible before have been opened up as well. And also the dash block that I use defensively in the Baiken matchup is also incredibly useful as an approach tool. I personally am working more on trying to implement this in my gameplay, as I'm typically a more defensive wait and see kind of player. Something else I'm also trying to make greater use of is dash jump, which I believe was possible previously, but I'm just paying more attention to that now, and with the changes to the air Gatlings system-wide, this is a great approach and pressure tool depending on the matchup. And while I initially set out to get reacquainted with Giovanna and better understand her new tools, and it feels great to have done so, I also came to really appreciate just how much use you can get out of one tool. With this one tiny change to her dash, I got a ton of use from the tool, both broad and niche, in just about every phase and aspect of the game. And this is a lesson I like to keep with me when I play other characters and other games. To explore as fully as possible the application of each individual tool that my character has available to them, or that is made available more broadly through the system mechanics. And really being able to think about and apply that at all is truthfully a huge privilege, as to be able to apply things that you've practiced without hesitation takes confidence, which is not something I've always had. So don't miss out on the unexpected technique I share in this video that helped me overcome overthinking.